Well, hi, welcome to episode 58 in season 3, How to Get a Remote Job. This episode's really fun. Now, have you ever noticed how many people leave the corporate world to become a life coach or a yoga teacher or to start their own business? Now, I bet you know one. Maybe it's you, or maybe you're thinking about doing something like this really soon. Now, I'm not making fun of people who do this. In fact, I was one of them. Although I didn't become a yoga teacher or a life coach, I actually moved to New Zealand to study aromatherapy. And years later, I left again the corporate world to start my own business. And in the last 2 years, I've come back to remote working, having had my first experience back in 2004. But I could have solved both of what I call my two life crises by kickstarting my remote career again a lot sooner, because it's ticked so many boxes that I thought studying aromatherapy or starting my own business would tick. Now, quickly before we start, if you want to fast track your remote career trajectory, head over to my website, stephanieholland.co, where I offer personalized remote career plans and 30-minute remote career consults. You can sign up for my list while you're there, and I'll keep you up to date about what I'm offering. So let's get into this episode. Now, here's my first life crisis. Here's how it went down. Back in 2008, I had hit my career goals. I was living in, I think, what was called Kate Blanchett's neighborhood in the Sydney area, working as a strategy director for a marketing agency on a 6-figure salary, and I felt empty. I looked at people at the top who were the GM and the CEO, and I thought, wow, I don't want to be either of them. I don't want to do what they're doing. I don't want to live their lives. So I left, I moved to New Zealand, and I studied a 1-year full-time diploma in aromatherapy. Now, if I had known then what I know now, I may never have done that. But since I now make my own skincare, and I taught my mum how to make her own skincare, and I know how to cure my own headaches and stomach aches with essential oils, and I actually cured my dad's skin cancer, I actually have no regrets about that part of my life. In fact, it was amazing. But here's what I know now. There were so many reasons that job that I left weren't right for me. But my skill set was extraordinary, and had I been working in the right place, surrounded by the right culture and people, I would not have left to run the gauntlet of not knowing what my life would be like over the next 5 years, which would actually take me through some pretty cool things, as I said, through writing an aromatherapy blog, freelance writing, and eventually being guided back to using my corporate marketing skill set for good business. Now, whatever you are feeling right now, and I bet it's a soul deep impulse for change, along with more freedom and flexibility, it doesn't mean you have to quit your career and become a yoga teacher. In fact, please don't, because there's not much more freedom and flexibility in that either when you're teaching your ass off and giving 60% commission away to yoga studio owners, okay? That's also a really tough path. But considering a remote role, on the other hand, might be the antidote you're looking for, because then you have a global pool of employers and companies, and you'll be able to find a much better fit for you, probably. Now, here are the areas of your current role and career that might be making you feel the urge to quit and become a life coach or the proverbial yoga teacher, and things that you can consider changing with a remote role before you quit your career and the corporate world or whatever role you're in already. Your industry, okay? This is the first thing you need to think about. Maybe your industry is just driving you mad. Now, I was sitting at a marketing meeting with high-level 40-something executives, a mix of male and female, all with kids at home, discussing how to make mothers feel guilty at back-to-school time so that they could sell cereal bars. Now, my stomach turned and I literally felt sick. Now, that was the last corporate media role I had before deciding to quit and start freelance writing, and a move that introduced me eventually to a raw food empire who flew me to Montreal, and my first consulting role, where I actually used my marketing skills for good business. Now, this really fused my skill set and my business experience at the time with my passion for wellness and health and well-being and doing good things in the world. It was an absolute revelation. Now, with a remote role, what you can do is use your existing skills and experience to benefit a new industry. like I eventually did, and it's such an amazing thing to do. So the second thing you can look at is your skills. Now maybe you're just sick and tired of doing the same old thing year after year, and you're not really learning anything new. Now back in 2009, John DeMartini taught me that some people repeat the same year of experience 20 times, which is actually what I was seeing in the media and marketing industry. So maybe it's time for you to learn something new. Maybe you are bored with your skill set. Could a new role steer you into a new field of expertise? Now, perhaps like I did more recently, you want to take a course in something different. I did a course in UX design with Skill Crush. And because I wanted to move into more of the product and platform side of marketing, and I wanted to show enthusiasm, passion, and a basic entry-level skill set for that. Now, there are many remote roles that prioritize ongoing training and development for employees. Now, Buffer offer a conference budget and a training and learning stipend for employees. They even ship a Kindle Paperwhite to new employees during the first 45 days so that you can read your heart out and study whatever you want. Basecamp offer $1,000 in terms of an annual continuing education allowance. So if you feel like your career and skills are going nowhere, have a look around at the companies at the cutting edge of career development. They really know that staying ahead of the game means having people whose skills are ahead of the game as well. Clevertech also offer $1,000 career development fund for all of their employees. I think it's really brilliant. Now, another thing you can take a think about is your people or your team. Who is surrounding you every day? Now, sometimes it's just the people around you that send you into a tailspin, making every day feel like Groundhog Day. Now, in the digital department of an Australian publisher back in 2009, the world was already digital, but the company was digging in its heels with newspaper and magazine investment, like actual paper advertising. No one seemed to correlate the falling ad spends with a changing world, a changing media landscape. And the next year, if you want to be around people, in this coming year, if you want to be around people who look to the future to shape the present and who you feel really inspired and empowered by, then look to companies who are shaping the future of work, and these tend to be already in the remote area. Remote and distributed teams have their finger on the pulse of our changing world, which means the people they hire do as well. So get out of the rut with a remote role, by using a remote role to get out of the rut, and form around you a team of people who are also excited about shaping the world that we live in. Now, another area you might want to think about is benefits. Now, maybe you don't feel fairly compensated by your paycheck or even beyond your paycheck, and you're just trading your life away for what feels like no reason at all. You feel overworked, you feel underappreciated. Now, after working at Yahoo and MSN in London and enjoying dinners at Michelin star restaurants and 3-day eating trips to Paris, I moved to Australia where I was handed a monthly paycheck, and that's it. It was like, here, in exchange for your life. It was terrible. Of course, there were barbecue paydays because they knew everyone was broke at the end of the month. I mean, come on, really. I could never really get used to the downgrade in benefits. One company actually told me that it made people uncomfortable that I took a 1-hour lunch break, and when I asked if they were asking me not to, they said they couldn't ask me not to. Seriously? What was that all about? So just a paycheck and I couldn't even take a lunch break. Well, remote companies are pioneering company benefits. So forget about simply dental and pension contribution matching. Of course, they offer that as well. And forget about feeling guilty about taking a lunch break. They offer work-life balance. But how about wellness benefits as well? Now, Sticker Mule, the name of a company, they offer a standing desk and a human-scale freedom chair, which is an ergonomic chair to all employees. It's even the remote ones. And Basecamp offer a $100 monthly massage allowance. Articulate offer $100 to put towards whatever kind of wellness activity or experience that you want. And then there's vacation policies like Zapier, who have an unlimited vacation policy. And some companies even have a minimum vacation allowance that you have to take because people need time off to rest and recharge, and the most sensible companies know that. Now, in the remote world, there are no medals for driving yourself into burnout. Fire Engine Red even offer personalized one-on-one financial coaching. So think about the ways that you would feel more appreciated in a role, or things you'd like beyond the paycheck, and consider that when doing your remote career search. Now, location is something to think about as well. Now, maybe you're just bored of your location and you want to live and work somewhere different. Now, I love to live and work in different cultures. Now, I used to have to change job or move country to do that. Now, when I first started living and working in Australia, I had to get a business visa. And now, if I wanted to live there again, I just move there for 3 months and get my fix of the country and the culture. Then I might head to Thailand or Bali. It's awesome to have that location freedom. Now with remote, you can stop going to the office, you can work from home, or you can work in another location if you want to. Now here's what GitHub, a remote first blended company, say. Here's what they say: you should work wherever you're happiest. And they have this to say on their careers page: GitHub employees live all over the world, and we love helping people work in the places that they're happiest. If you're in one of these states or countries, you can work remotely with us. How nice is that? Now, Sticker Mule has a team across 17 countries and 11 US states, with most positions able to work from wherever. Automatic offer 2 or 3 months sabbatical every 5 years. So if you have itchy feet and you need new surroundings, remote first or remote friendly companies are the key. You can enjoy your location more without going to the office and commuting, or live in a completely different location. Culture. This is the last thing I'm going to talk about. If you're sick of the kind of culture where you have to brown nose or be seen to get ahead, then welcome to a whole new world of opportunity in the remote world, where you are rewarded for the quality of your output over anything else, but also where you feel safe, important, and valued. And this element of culture is taken so seriously by future-focused teams because, as Daniel Coyle said, this is an excerpt from the Culture Code, a book that he wrote, a Harvard study conducted across 200 companies over 10 years revealed that there was an average 765% increase in net income if they have a good culture. So if you're looking for an inclusive culture where diversity is celebrated and where discrimination is outlawed, then check out episode 55 where I talk about why this is so important. Now, in one Australian role, I was repeatedly called a wog when they found out about my Portuguese and French heritage. That just didn't feel good. Now, in another role, I was very publicly bullied by a senior figure of staff, and my direct manager did nothing about it, did nothing to help me. She didn't want to rock the boat because she was on the CEO track. Now, that just isn't happening in remote roles. So if you're at the butt end of bullying or harassment or any kind of discrimination and you don't feel safe, important, or valued in your role, then a forward-thinking remote role at a remote company might be better for you. And if you want to work for a company that values each and every individual, there are plenty of them. Now, there's a remote online agency called Tribe, and they say, we're not looking for seat fillers. We want your big, beautiful brain to be fully engaged. We are looking for added value. Now, cultural values like open and honest communication are not just bylines on the career page, because for remote companies, they don't just live by it. Remote companies, they actually more than live by it. They can't operate it without it, and they certainly can't achieve their growth and scale goals without it. Now, when remote companies list their values, they really mean them, or you see the holes in them very quickly. Now, culture is very closely connected to our primitive drive for survival. Now, it's this level of empathy that builds connection among your remote or distributed teams. Now, founders who realize this really take time to ask and answer the question, how are we connecting and reaffirming connection? If you don't feel like your current company is asking that question, join a remote team that is. So think about what's driving your soul deep impulse for change right now. The industry you're in, the skills that you're learning and the skills that you would like to be learning, your team and the people who are surrounding you, the benefits you're currently being offered and how you want to be appreciated by your company, your location and where you'd like to be instead, where you would like to work every day, and the culture of your company. And perhaps instead of becoming a life coach, a yoga teacher, or starting your own business, of course you can still do those things. But before you take the leap, because it really is jumping from the frying pan into the fire, you could first consider exploring remote opportunities instead. Now, it may well be that, like me, you love what you do and you realize this when you change your situation. But first you need to start doing it a little differently, including a change of lifestyle, industry, and people. So if you have the podcast pack, head over to worksheet 6, where I guide you through some critical thinking in each of these areas to make sure you're covering all these bases before you make a drastic life change. Now, if you don't have the worksheet, don't worry. You can grab a copy in the show notes at stephanieholland.co/58. Now, that's it from me this week. I'll see you next week on the Thriving Empire podcast. Until then, keep living and working on your own terms so that you can build a career and the life you really want simultaneously. I'll see you next week. Bye.